And Mr. Salve at that time said, that's the India we live in. It's not the India we choose to live in on that today.
True, Rhythm. In fact, this is a case study where prosecution was weaponized for political ends. We not only have some fine gentlemen and patriotic people today who stand acquitted, who stand vindicated, we also have some criminals who are on the loose because prosecution and investigation tried to frame innocence. It actually paved the way for actual guilty get scot-free. This is the highlight here. And where are the consequences for those who did this? Saying saffron terror, dubbing a terror incident as Hindu terror and get away with it? I want this consequence of this to be visited upon all those who fabricated it and who today are hiding in the shadows, don't have a face to show. So that it becomes an exemplary case and nobody dares do it in the future. We don't want our patriotic Colonel Purohits suffer in future as they have this time. It's a dire need for the system to get up and frame those who have brought this shame upon us. This is a collapse of criminal justice system in one way, where I'm proud that finally, innocent have been vindicated, have been acquitted. At the same time, I would like those to be exposed who have hatched such conspiracies. Karambir Singh is just one of them.
Yes, Sushil, as you are speaking, I'm just going to do the breaking news.
Patronage to this system.
Sushil, as you are speaking, I'm going to do the breaking news that Usauddin Owaisi has spoken. And he's spoken in exactly the different tone that we are speaking right now in. He's calling the Malegaon verdict disappointing. He says, will the NIA be held accountable for faulty investigation? And says, will Modi and Fadnavis appeal before the higher court? But this is the big news that we are breaking now. Usauddin Owaisi is believing that this verdict is disappointing. Sushil, as we hail this verdict...
Am I surprised?
Yes,
Are you
go
surprised?
Ahead,
did you expect anything better from him? These are predictable talking heads. They had considered Sadhvi Pragya and Colonel Purohit criminals much before the investigation was complete. They actually were rejoicing. The coinage of Hindu terror, saffron terror, suited their politics. It fed their campaign of calumny. So therefore, today, I'm not surprised that he is disappointed. I hope we have more such disappointments in future too. This man represents the antithesis of democracy. I'm really disappointed that our democracy has space for people like him.
Yes.
That he is an honorable member of parliament today, but has been running a campaign as new Jinnah for the last several decades.
Yes.
And before him, his father. His party itself.
Sushil, I want to just interrupt you for 1 minute because Brigadier, who was the assistant AG of the MI at that time, Brigadier Rajkumar is now patched with us on the phone line. Brigadier Rajkumar, I've spoken to you earlier. You were in the MI. You knew Colonel Purohit. Today, the court has acquitted him and said there was no evidence, and there is no evidence at all against him. How are you going, and what do you have to say about this event now? Because from the very start, you had said that he was an honest officer.
Yeah, he was a very competent officer. He was working in the military intelligence and even helping the Nasik police whenever it was required. There was Mokoka was imposed on him, which was not appropriate at all. Mokoka is normally imposed on the individuals who are habitual criminals, who got a past record of being indulging in regular crimes. He was none of those. He didn't fall in that category. But still, the government people, whatever they thought of, they imposed this clause on him, which was very, very unfair.
And you were the nodal officer of the army also in the Malegaon blast case. The army inquiry did not find any evidence that Colonel Purohit had supplied RDX for the blast. And this is also something today that the court is saying. You'd also said that the UPA government wanted to hasten the probe into the case and there was pressure.
Yeah, I still stand with that.
That's right. And today we're all saying it, sir.
Yeah, it was. There were some people at the highest level. They wanted to hasten up the case, but unfortunately, we couldn't do it because we had to visit places. So many places. We had to carry out the ground checks, like in Bhopal, in Ghaziabad, in Pune, and Nasik, Mumbai. So I had to visit all these places to question people, to ascertain the details, to corroborate certain things. So it couldn't have been, I told the officer, we can't do it because we need to go on ground. And we took our own time to justify the investigation.
So I want to understand from you that, the army wanted to expedite the probe, sir, in the Malegaon blast case in which Lieutenant Prasad Shrikant Purohit was accused, but there was political pressure even at that time?
Yeah, there was not on me directly.
Yes.
But up the ladder, it was there. There is no doubt about that.
And what did the political pressure indicate? They wanted the Bhagwa terror, Hindu terror, saffron terror.
Yeah, Hindu. They wanted to, put that kind of stigma on the officer that all these people, Sadhvi Pragya and Swami Asimanand Purohit. So they were into Hindu terror, which we could smell it during the investigation while interacting with senior officers and including the police. These people wanted to expedite it because elections were to be held very soon. So they wanted to expedite before those elections to give it a shade of Hindu terrorism.
I completely agree with you. In fact, very interestingly, Brigadier Rajkumar, the army inquiry didn't find any evidence that Lieutenant Purohit had supplied RDX for the blast while he couldn't explain the possession at that time. Today, the court has said similarly that there was no RDX that was planted by him. In fact, earlier you had also said that the Mumbai ATS, in fact, you could see that this case was being forward. In fact, you had said because elections were due and they were saying that the case should be moved faster.
Unfortunately, there is no evidence with me to prove that.
Yes.
But at highest level, I was told that we must hasten up because the elections are in the offing. I still stand by that, and I was holding a very responsible assigned post at that time. I was the Deputy Director General of Military Intelligence, coordinating security, terrorism, counter-terrorism, at the national level with other agencies, Intelligence Bureau, police and all that.
Absolutely. And today that's exactly what's coming forward. Elections were around the corner. The Hindu terror theory had to be coined. There was no RDX with Colonel Prasad Shrikant Purohit, and this was a false theory. All the cards that had been raised, this house of cards, come stumbling down today, Brigadier Rajkumar, and now the Malegaon Special NIA Court also says this. In fact, there was no proof in your investigation also, Brigadier Rajkumar, that or any meetings that were held of that alleged Abhinav Bara that Colonel Purohit had supplied any RDX.
We have specifically checked it because Colonel Purohit was, prior to this assignment some time back, he was posted in Srinagar areas. And we had written to the Northern Command to ascertain whether he could lay hands on RDX, whether there was any loopholes in the system that he could take away this deadly material, which can cause a lot of destruction. They have given us in writing that they have a very foolproof system that whenever RDX in small or larger quantities is found from anywhere, so it is supposed to be dumped in the river or something. They had a standard operating procedure for that. And the Northern Command has very correctly done that. So Purohit could not lay hands on RDX. There was no question of his getting involved in carrying out the RDX attack.
All right, Brigadier Rajkumar there joining us. I would also request you to be with our editor-in-chief at 8 p.m. when we're going to be taking on the Malegaon case that was cooked up by the UPA and framed charges against all those accused today, Brigadier Rajkumar, who have been acquitted rightly by the NI court. I thank you for joining us. I also now want to go across who is in the studio, Colonel Anurag Shukla, defense expert, also former colleague of Colonel Purohit. Colonel Shukla, for the longest time, since 17 years, we've been in touch with Colonel Prasad Shrikant Purohit. It's been a fight. Whether it was the torture, whether it was the look in his eyes when he spoke about how he was termed a terrorist. If there is anyone that we've seen with exemplary character and conduct, it's Colonel Prasad Shrikant Purohit, whether it's when he talks about his career in the army or whether he talks about being a son of the soil or about his nation. You must have, as you work closely with him, know about the commendations he's got from his senior army officers. You also must be knowing about how the army had taken him back once he was out on bail. What do you make out of this acquittal that comes from the Malegaon court 17 years later, after 5 judges have been changed, after the ATS's investigation has been questioned by the NIA, after the supplementary charge sheet of the MI was spoken of before this court, Judge Lahoti, and that also has been now questioned and possibly questioned by Judge Lahoti, the special NI court that now says all 7 are free, acquitted.
So let me tell you how I began with. Let's go back to 2001. That is the time myself and Colonel Purohit, that time he was major and I was captain. So we were both in the same company. We were deployed in the Kupwara and we were in the thick of an insurgency. A lot of pressure was there. A lot of insurgency activities were going on in 2001, 2002, 2003. And I just want to bring it on record that we had a long list of a very successful operation where Major Purohit, that time, Major Purohit, he planned everything and executed very well on the ground, and he was a very meticulous planner and he was such an upright officer. Everybody in the general area used to praise him. I worked under him for almost 2.5 years before I got shot and I was taken out from that general area. And we had that successful operation for 8 successful operations, and out of which we have killed 11 heavily armed militants. So coming with that background, he was such a patriotic officer. He was a so upright officer. If you see in the army system, we have got a system of judging and scaling an officer on the basis of his performance in the ACR. So he used to get 9 out of 9. That is the biggest anybody can get. 9 out of 9, 3 consecutive ACR he got from the organization. Go back to the second phase when he got entangled into this political theory, whatever is being discussed. See, he was picked up from the Panchmani, that was in MP. He was doing some course and he was that time a military intelligence officer. His task was to track the possible threats to the government, country, and he was doing very well. He was giving information to his senior officer. That time when the issue was raised in Panchmani, he was given an order, he was given a moment order. From there, he was supposed to pick up and he was to go to army headquarters in Delhi. In midway, I don't know what happened. Somehow the flight was changed. Instead of going to Delhi, he was taken to Mumbai and the case started where we have all seen, witnessed. There has been a long wait for 17 years, but I am proud to say he's a very good officer. He's a soldier at his heart. He has never said anything about the country, even when he was going to the torture of the police. Every time whenever you hear his interview, he has always been advising and to the countrymen that definitely we all should contribute to the country. We should not look what country has done to us. It will be what we can do to the country, and we should always do best to the country. That is the image of the officer. And he has been pulled in the controversy where the system put his all effort from police to political parties. Everybody wanted to prove something. Otherwise, the whole country should have been proud of this officer. He has been such a high decorated officer. He has got 2 commendation cards, and he has been scaled very well in the ACRs. And I don't know why, on what basis suddenly he has been made to look like a villain in the system. He was pulled into a place where he was actually doing his job as a military intelligence officer. He is supposed to get the information which is used by the intelligence agency to track down the possible threat to the country. And that exactly was being done. Of the basis of getting praised, he was turned out to be a victim of this conspiracy. But I am very happy standing today in 2025. Things have changed. Justice has come to own full cycle. Justice has been delayed, but definitely has been delivered. So I congratulate to the system. I have a full faith in the judiciary system, and I request the countryman that he should be treated as a hero. Never he should be questioned that he has ever been involved in anything. I am a testimony. I have done 8 operations, successful operations. We have killed together 11 militant, and I am a testimony to his bravery, his patriotism, and he is a hero. He is a hero of a country.
I completely agree with you, Colonel Shukla, and I'm going to go play across reactions that are coming from politicians, because even though this is a victory, even though this is an army officer who's always ended every interaction he's ever had with us, and even as Colonel Shukla is standing here and saying, I'm going to say and give him a character certificate, politicians will only play politics. We're going to show you reactions coming in today in which several UPA leaders of that time are saying, appeal against this verdict, this is not right. Whereas on the other hand, there are others, of course, saying this is justice. Viewers, we put it into perspective. An army officer gets free today, acquitted. We're also getting you Sadhvi Pragya, who's also now acquitted. And others, there is no role, there is no evidence, there was no bike that belonged to them, there was no RDX planted by them. Everything that had been built like a house of cards falls. But the politicians will play politics. We're going to play out that reactions that are coming in from the parliament. Watch on.
I would say that it's very unfortunate that this is second case consecutively that Mumbai bomb blast accused were released. After that, Malegaon bomb blast accused are being released. And the reason is same. The court has said that prosecution was not able to establish anything. They didn't come out with anything beyond doubt, establish evidences. And that gives leeway, that releases the accused. And that is what has happened. This raises serious question as far as the government is concerned. The government and the law enforcing agencies, probing agencies, what they have done. They should have gathered the evidences, they should have gathered before you apprehend or before you nab anyone. I mean, unless you have evidences, and you cannot do that. So this is very unfortunate, and it raises serious questions in the minds of the people that are we secure, are we safe in our states? It is the responsibility of the government, and in turn government should see how their probing agencies and law enforcing agencies, how do they carry their responsibilities.
Also, the term saffron terror, Hindu terror was given by opposition party and especially Congress in 2008. That term also should come to an end with this verdict now.
See, terrorism has no religion. Anyone criticizing for political benefits, I mean, that should not be taken into account in overall perspective. It is terrorism which really destroys, which plays with the security of the nation, which plays with the lives of the people, which destroys your property of the nation. And this is when we say that we have zero tolerance for terrorism, it should be practiced it should practically also.
All right, Republic questions. Rahul Gandhi on the Malegaon verdict, and he spoke there in the parliament. He tried to divert the issue. Let's break what Rahul Gandhi had to say or not to say. Observe this very peculiar silence there at parliament.
Congress called the Congress of saffron terror.
All the accused have been acquitted in Malegaon blast.
All seven have been acquitted in all seven have been accused.
Look, please don't.
saffron terror. Congress called the Congress of saffron terror.
All the accused have been acquitted in Malegaon blast.
All 7 have been acquitted in all 7 have been accused.
Look, please don't.
Okay, I'm going to try and understand what really happened to my colleague Harsha's mic there. But I think even a picture speaks louder than words, and the 15-second frame that we got with Harsha asking that question, the question being understood by Rahul Gandhi, and the peculiar look on his face, not willing to speak about it, it clearly indicates that they're very clear about the terminology that was used in the Malegaon case and how he does not want to wish to speak on it. Once again, I would request my director to play out that non-reaction, possibly not wanting to comment on this from Rahul Gandhi. And viewers, as we're going to wait for that to happen, I want to just tell our viewers, the Congress will have to answer. It's not the first time the Congress tried to do this, whether it was Congress leaders at that time, Digvijay Singh, Shivraj Patil, P. Chidambaram, all of them who were speaking non-stop about the Hindu terror theory, and their own former Home Secretary Mani, who'd come out, written a book on it and said that there was no such theory. We're going to try and speak to them to get a sense of what happened. I'm going to try, though there's no reaction on that, so we're going to once again try and get Harsha's question and also Rahul Gandhi and what he tried to say there. That audio once again, just try and watch the peculiar reaction, the peculiar facial expressions that are made by Rahul Gandhi when the question is put to him.
Congress called the Congress of saffron terror. Congress called the Congress of saffron terror.
All the accused have been acquitted in Malegaon blast.
All 7 have been acquitted in all 7 have been accused.
Look, please don't.
Trying to divert the issue, you won't say the issue in real India, he turned the back and no response. But I also want to tell our viewers what Rahul Gandhi at that time during UPA had told the US ambassador. Rahul Gandhi had said the bigger threat than Lashkar could be the growth of radicalized Hindu groups in India. And that's the reason this story, I believe, is the biggest story of the year, viewers. Because the Malegaon blast case is not only about 2008 September 29, it's not only about October 2008 arrest of an honest army officer or the picking up of 38-year Sadhvi Pragya or Sudhakar Chaturvedi, Sameer Kulkarni and other accused, 7 accused by the NIA in the supplementary charge sheet, but it's about the UPA, the Congress, the coining of the Hindu terror terms. Colonel Shukla, you're trying to see what Rahul Gandhi said. What is your estimation of the looks that are passing through his face? Several expressions in that nano 5 seconds.
The only thing I can say is so surprisingly that there is no one to take accountability. What happened to those 9 years? What happened to the bright career? What happened to the services of a bright officer which the country could have utilized? Everything has gone, but nobody is responding. There is no accountability. Today, political party will give something. Day after tomorrow, somebody will forget. They will take out some other issues. But
Sister, please don't try and digress the issue. The main issue sitting in front of India today is that the government has destroyed our economic policy, has destroyed our defense policy, has destroyed our foreign policy. Okay? They are running this country into the ground. You people don't say it. You people want to talk about other issues, right? But they are running this country into the ground. Prime Minister एक ही व्यक्ति के लिए काम करते हैं, अदानी. सारे के सारे स्मॉल बिजनेसेस उड़ा दिए. आप देख लीजिए, ये डील होगी.
This is so quintessential Rahul Gandhi. He's not going to talk about Malegaon. He's not going to talk about the UPA's responsibility. He's not going to talk about Shivraj Patil, his minister at that time, P. Chidambaram at that time, but he's going to talk about some other issue. Viewers, we're going to stay with this. Coming up after a short break, the big Malegaon verdict, the biggest story of the year. All the 7 accused, Colonel Purohit, Sadhvi Pragya, acquitted. Like the court said, Baizat Bari.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी.
And today, sir, people are offering great wisdom on China. In fact, some people have even said that I am not.
All right, it's a big breaking news development, in fact, that has happened, because of which we had to come out of that broadcast. That successful launch of the India-United States joint project of NISA satellite has taken place, but it seems on the trade front, India and the United States are not really launching jointly successful missions. And so
Amity has been ranked among the top universities globally for producing the most employable graduates by the Times Higher Education UK. Yet another testimony to Amity's excellent placement record.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All L40 engines generating nominal thrust. S139 motor ignited.
5 seconds.
That's a magnificent of the GSLV F-16 missile mission. The deafening roar of GSLV and beautiful silhouette brightening the Sriharikota sky.
जी हाँ, अभी आपने देखा चारों L40 तथा 4 बूस्टर S139 का सफल प्रज्वलन और GSLV F-16 का उत्थापन द्वितीय प्रमोचन मंच से, और ये अपने गंतव्य की ओर बढ़ता हुआ
140 seconds.
Special NIA Court in Mumbai delivers its verdict in the 2008 Malegaon blast case, acquitted all 7 accused. NIA Court says there is no proof against Colonel Prasad Shrikant Purohit as contaminated samples were sent for forensic investigation and eyewitnesses changed their statements. Court said in its verdict that bike allegedly involved in the blast, that was allegedly Sadhvi Pragya's, did not have a chassis number and prosecution could not prove it belonged to Sadhvi Pragya. While delivering the big judgment on the 2008 Malegaon blast case, NIA Court also noted terrorism has no color or religion.
Look, please don't, sister, please don't try and digress the issue.
Republic questioned leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi on the Malegaon blast verdict. Rahul caught on camera saying, Malegaon is not a real issue. And Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal to take statement in Lok Sabha and on tariffs and penalty which US has imposed. He's going to make statements in Lok Sabha on tariffs and penalty which US has imposed on India. Viewers, after 17-year-long wait, Special NIA Court in Mumbai, Judge A.K. Lahoti announced the verdict today in the 2008 Malegaon blast case. This is the biggest verdict in years, the longest terror case ever. He acquitted all the 7 accused, including Sadhvi Pragya, former member of parliament from Bhopal, Lieutenant Colonel Prasad Purohit, accused of being acquitted of all charges of the UAPA, the Arms Act, and all the other charges. But the biggest news, Congress now, stunned after this saffron terror term coined by them, gives out a revelation. I'm going to play out a reaction coming in from Digvijay Singh, who had several times spoken on Hindu terror.
के मुख्य प्रवक्ता जी से पूछिए।
लेकिन हिंदू आतंकवाद का जो आरोप लगा था,
कोई धर्म के आधार पे आतंकवाद नहीं होता है, ना हिंदू आतंकवाद होता है, ना इस्लामिक आतंकवाद होता है। हर धर्म प्रेम, सद्भाव, सत्य और अहिंसा का रूप है।
कल यही कहा था मिश्रा जी ने कि हिंदू आतंकी नहीं हो सकता। आप मानते हैं कि आज के फैसले के बाद वो चीज़?
ना हिंदू आतंकवादी हो सकता, न मुसलमान हो सकता है, न सिख हो सकता, न ईसाई होता है। केवल कुछ लोग होते हैं जो कि धर्म को नफरत की तरह उसका हथियार उपयोग करते हैं, वही आतंकवाद को जन्म देता है।
लेकिन बीजेपी तो ये कहती रही है सर कि हिंदू टेरर का जो शब्द था वो कांग्रेस ने दिया था।
बिल्कुल गलत कहते हैं, बिल्कुल गलत कहते हैं।
आरोपियों को बरी कर दिया गया है।
आप AICC के मुख्य प्रवक्ता जी से पूछिए।
लेकिन हिंदू आतंकवाद का जो आरोप लगा था,
कोई धर्म के आधार पर आतंकवाद नहीं होता है। न हिंदू आतंकवाद होता है, न इस्लामिक आतंकवाद होता है। हर धर्म प्रेम, सद्भाव, सत्य और अहिंसा का रूप है।
कल यही कहा था मिश्रा जी ने कि हिंदू आतंकी नहीं हो सकता। आप मानते हैं कि आज के फैसले के बाद वो चीज़?
ना हिंदू आतंकवादी हो सकता, न मुसलमान हो सकता है, न सिख हो सकता, न ईसाई होता है। केवल कुछ लोग होते हैं जो कि धर्म को नफरत की तरह उसका हथियार उपयोग करते हैं, वही आतंकवाद को जन्म देता है।
लेकिन बीजेपी तो ये कहती रही है सर कि हिंदू टेरर का जो शब्द था वो कांग्रेस ने दिया था।
बिल्कुल गलत कहते हैं, बिल्कुल गलत कहते हैं।
आरोपियों को बरी कर दिया गया है।
आप AICC के मुख्य प्रवक्ता जी से पूछिए।
लेकिन हिंदू आतंकवाद का जो आरोप लगा था,
कोई धर्म के आधार पर आतंकवाद नहीं होता है। न हिंदू आतंकवाद होता है, न इस्लामिक आतंकवाद होता है। हर धर्म प्रेम, सद्भाव, सत्य और अहिंसा का रूप है।
कल यही कहा था मिश्रा जी ने कि हिंदू आतंकी नहीं हो सकता। आप मानते हैं कि आज के फैसले के बाद वो चीज़?
ना हिंदू आतंकवादी हो सकता, न मुसलमान हो सकता है।
This is extremely strange now. Sushil Pandit is now joining us. Naveen Chomal is also with us. We have in the studio Colonel Shukla. All our guests continue to now be with us. We're also joined by Raman Malik, Desh Ratan Nigam, Sushil Pandit, Colonel Anurag, all of them along with us. And Advocate Naveen Chomal is also there. You had earlier appeared in this case for Sadhvi Pragya, Major Upadhyay, Sudhakar Chaturvedi. The court has taken cognizance in this case of a lot of factors. They've gone into great details of what has been put to them by the NIA. They've said that there was no evidence planted, no RDX by Colonel Purohit. They've said that the bike did not belong to Sadhvi Pragya. What then, Naveen Chomal, as a lawyer, do you think the NIA was doing for all these 17 years when they were putting up and piling up evidence after evidence under the very stringent UAPA against all the 7 accused who've now been acquitted?
See, it all started with the ATS Maharashtra initially. That time NIA was not in the existence. So when the bomb blast took place of Malegaon, they had all the clue and material against the activists of SIMI. And they had in fact arrested the SIMI workers also with the proof. But you see, 2008 was the era when there were series of bomb blasts all across the country and Congress was on the back foot. Because 2009 they had to face the general elections. So this was the dirty trick they played along with Hemant Karkare and this Digvijay Singh. They all termed the coin Hindu terror and suddenly the case was switched on to the Hindu activists. What went wrong for them is they took the clue very early and they misread the clue. There was one motorbike which was earlier belonging to Sadhvi ji. Sadhvi ji had sold it long back because she had met with an accident and she had given up. And it was bought by Sunil Joshi. And ultimately Joshi also died. And that bike was somehow used for the bomb blast, amongst other things. So they connected Sadhvi to the whole issue. And after that, they had no material. So they tried to build up material against Sadhvi. Then they arrested Major Upadhyay, Shivnarayan Kalsangra. In fact, it is learned that his brother was eliminated in the custody only. Then Shyam Sahu was arrested from Indore. And then Colonel Purohit was also arrested. So they tried to build up the case. But where is the material? The entire material was against the SIMI activists. So they try to make up the case. So initially when they don't have a case, they resort to Mokoka. They applied Mokoka in the matter. They hurriedly, as a backdoor entry, framed 2 more cases. Within 2 days they filed a charge sheet. See the hurry. Within 2 days they filed a charge sheet and said that okay, now Moka is applicable. So when we challenged the learned trial judge, he rejected the Moka. So still they managed through political pressure and went to the High Court. And High Court, they had no case. But still, somehow the judge upheld the Moka. Of course, it didn't last much. The Supreme Court had to quash the Moka. So this has been the history. This has been how they have been trying to plant Hindu terror. At the same time, Swami Asimanandji was also framed in the Samjhauta bomb blast case. When initially they had arrested the ISI people. So this has been the modus operandi of the Congress people. Despite arresting the actual accused persons. In fact, CIA also had conducted an investigation which pointed towards the ISI activists in the Samjhauta bomb blast case. But they were all released and suddenly Hindu terror was coined. So ultimately the Congress is today paying the price for it.
Absolutely. I also want to get in Deshratan Nigam here. Deshratan Nigam, a very good afternoon. This was a fine morning when Judge A.K. Lahoti finally gave some justice to all the 7 accused. UAPA has been now called off against them. But this is a justice that they waited for too long, the wheels of justice too long. There were 5 judges who were changed. The ATS's case was broken down. The supplementary charge sheet by the NIA was filed. I could see the fear, like I've been saying, in the eyes of Colonel Prasad Purohit when I met him when he was in prison in Maharashtra in 2018 and 2019 when he came to the Supreme Court. After that, every time he's in Delhi or I'm in Bombay for his cases, but he's never really spoken. He's always maintained a dignified silence. Sadhvi Pragya came on the show with our editor-in-chief Arnab, and she mentioned how ATS and ATS officers at that time, Parambir Singh, had flogged her. How they had taken the leather belts and beaten her, and she would not even want her worst enemies to go through this. This is not just a cut and throat, black and white legal case, Deshratan Nigam, that we are talking about. This is brutal torture. This is treating people like animals, and in a fraud case, putting them in prison. It's chilling torture only done to frame a political theory and pressure that was put on politics because elections were round the corner. As Brigadier, whom we had on the show at that time, a nodal officer in the Malegaon case, told us, elections were around the corner. There was very much pressure from politicians, they said, Deshratan Nigam.
Yes, Rhythm. In fact, the justice was long overdue, and finally it has been delivered. The case was absolutely manufactured to settle a scores.
Okay, Deshratan Nigam, I'm sorry, just for a second I'll interrupt you. Akhilesh Yadav speaking on the Malegaon verdict at Parliament. I'm back to you after that. Okay, Deshratan Nigam, please continue. We'll cut to that later. I'm sorry. Please continue.
So the fact is, the case was absolutely manufactured to somehow, put down a particular ideology and to frame a particular ideology. And if you look at the observations of the court here, the people were forced to give witness. They later became hostile. The samples were contaminated and the motorcycle could not be connected to. And on top of it, the torture that you just mentioned, anybody who reads the order of the Supreme Court, wherein Sadhvi Pragya was given bail, they have clearly mentioned the medical condition of Sadhvi Pragya, the torture she had to undergo in the prison, and the medical certificates that were attached. She had to suffer, tremendous amount of injury in the spine. So what was there was vindictive. It was done to settle scores, and certainly not a case that should have gone in the courts. This is a case because I've also been in touch with Colonel Purohit and his wife, and have known, because they generally do not speak in public, and therefore what has come out today is the justice, and we have to ensure that such kind of things never happen. And most important thing is the people who were responsible at that of time for manufacturing this artificial case, what about them? Punishment must meet them. They must be taken to task. It should not be allowed to just go like that, because somebody who's spent huge amount of years inside the jail being tortured, and if they go scot-free, that will set an example that tomorrow also certain officers, police can manufacture a case and frame innocent people. Rhythm, they have to be taken to task, and I'm sure the accused who has been acquitted this time must also file for compensation for the
compensation. The court.
Rhythm, they have to be taken to task, and I'm sure the accused who has been acquitted this time must also file for compensation for the
compensation. The court, Deshatha Nigam has given them of a few lakhs, I think 1,50,000 or something. But I spoke earlier to Upma ji, who is Sadhvi Pragya's sister, and she said, please take the compensation. There is a damaged body part. Every part of my sister's body has been damaged. What do I do with the compensation? That's what I want to ask Raman Malik here also, who's joining us. This is a case of sheer torture, chilling details, horrific brutality. And today the only question we ask is, when justice was actually when these corrupt police officials and politicians face the music, can that happen?
Apparently, today where we are standing, it's a very important point in history. And why I say so is because the biggest problem with our judicial system and our society is that felony and lying to the court, to the society, to the nation, making comments which are based on malicious activities, malicious narratives, is not a crime in this nation. Will the courts now come up, wake up, and will they come out and start asking Rahul Gandhi, asking Digvijay Singh, and asking the bureaucracy who are supporting these political demands of the Congress that why did you lie to us? Will they go behind bars? That is the most important question today. Will they go behind bars? And secondly, if in the case of National Herald, the same treatment that is given to Sadhvi Pragya is given to Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, Robert Vadra, will Congress be okay? These are pertinent questions you must ask them. Because these buggers who have become politician lords do not accept this, that their lies can diminish, destroy, and devastate the lives of others. Lying in the public cannot be accepted, can never be accepted. Who's going to accept it? Who's going to take care of the lives of Sadhvi Pragya, whose every body part is today somehow or the other affected by this whole travesty? There's so many points which one needs to talk about. Why did they leave the Huzi people? Why did they leave the ISI people in Samjhauta Blast? There are other questions. But the most important point again, which I'm going to raise is, where are all those people who actually started saying, Karkare was killed by RSS, Karkare was planted to be killed by RSS, he was finished by RSS. Where are those people?